Welcome back to Cossy Arsenal Podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is your latest Arsenal news and Mikel Arteta press conference as well. We're going to be talking about Thomas Partey. We're going to be talking about Kai Havertz. Mikel Arteta said that with Kai Havertz, give him time. It also took him time to lock down his wife. And now, where they are, they have a couple of kids. So we've got to give Kai Havertz time, just the same amount of time Mikel Arteta took to get his wife. How about that? Thomas Partey, Mikel Arteta says it doesn't look good. It looks a little bit scary, but we should give it some time. And I'm going to have to agree with them. I'm really going to have to agree with them. With Thomas Partey, we have now to get used to the fact that every single season, you have those 2-3 months of him out. Whether that period is spread out in June, in July, and then May, or it comes at once. This time, it could be coming at once. But hey, there is a positive. Thomas Partey could be out for weeks rather than the months that were reported earlier on. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the podcast as well. How do we replace Thomas Partey? Let me know in the comment box below. Do you think we should play with Jorginho and Rice? Do you think Rice alone is enough in your opinion? Let me know in the comment box below. Let's have the conversation right down there. So Mikel Arteta, first and foremost, was asked about how he feels about the performance against Man United, and he said, "Great, we all worked hard and planned everything to leave moments like this. The moments are going to stick with us, to see a crowd so connected with the team, and again to celebrate in a big match like we did today with history of this clash is something very great. So I'm very happy with the performance." All of us were happy. All of us were absolutely delighted that Arsenal definitely walked away with the 3 points. Not convincing. The last 10 minutes were much better than the first 90 minutes, in my opinion. But like Mikel said, those goals you celebrate for years. Those are moments that, in such a clash, they create that kind of, old is gold. So as the more they age on, the more they become gold. Man United have not won at the Emirates Stadium since 2017. That is a very good record. That's a very good home record against Man United. And I tell you what, whenever United come there, it feels like they will lose, right? It's a very different feeling as compared to when we played them under Arsene Wenger during the Ferguson days. It always felt like we were the better side at the Emirates, yet we ended up losing. These days, we are the better side, and we go on to win the fixtures. Mikel Arteta, on not having the perfect performance on the evening, he says not especially the goal we gave away. We talked about losing the ball inside the first 2 passes. Against this team, you are kaput. We did it again, and we actually paid the consequences. He says the second half, they could have scored, but it was overturned. For the rest of the game, the win, the determination, the eagerness from the team, the way we showed that we will win, and the mentality to go on and go on and go on. I'm very proud of the team. I think I say this in the preview, and I told you that there is what we call a genius manager, and Mikel is definitely a genius of a manager. We talked about the fact that Arsenal were not to allow Manchester United play on the break. We were not to allow Man United breakaway, and there were so many chances, there were so many opportunities where Man United could play that ball in behind. But Gabriel was there, and Saliba was there as well. But on one occasion where Kai Havertz gives away the ball and Odegaard doesn't track back and Ben White doesn't close down Marcus Rashford, kaput, bang, it's a goal. And then Rasmus Hojlund flicks it on for Casemiro. Garnacho is making the run, flick on, kaput, it's a bang. So those were the 2 chances on the break that Man United had, and they used them very well. If we want to beat Man United, I'm just giving away free information. Don't allow them run on the break. Just don't do that. But Mikel says the determination from the team and whatever we did was absolutely, good. Mikel Arteta on the performance of Declan Rice, he says, I think it was a tremendous performance. When you look at the holding midfielder and how he needs to dominate his area and pressing that is needed, how he breaks up play, how he glues the team together in many moments when it was stretching a little bit, he was really dominant and he produced magic, a magic moment to win the game as well. So I'm really, really happy with him. On Declan Rice's mentality, it says, we did it yesterday, but yesterday your heart rate is at 80 and today it is 190. So to produce the same level of quality when the pressure is on, is on in that moment is just unique. You just need to have the quality and the composure, and he showed it today very, very well. Mikel Arteta on the leadership of Declan Rice in the dressing room. He says he's a very natural guy. He's a great kid. I think he's got a mixture between being extremely demanding with everybody and himself, and then a bit of banter as well. Being around the boys and the staff, in a really, really humble way. I think he's fitted in really, really brilliantly there. Now, the one thing I loved about Declan Rice in this game, he played kind of out of position because he was replacing the role Thomas Partey gave us last campaign. But one thing you loved, and one thing you totally loved in its totality, he didn't look out of position. He didn't look like he was trying to adapt. He actually played and he forced the team to adapt to him. It's a very, very great, great way to play in a new role. Because if you're trying to adapt to a role, if you're trying to, create something, what that actually does is it forces the team into a precarious situation. But Declan Rice decided, I'm going to be this good, and I'm going to try to be as better as I can be to replace Thomas Partey. It was never going to be easy, and eventually we walked away with the 3 points. Mikel Arteta on whether Declan Rice can add more goal involvements to his game eventually. He says, for sure, when you see the technical ability that he has and how he executed it in that moment, his range when he's shooting from range, his accuracy, the power he generates with no space as well. With both legs, he can do it with both feet as well. He's got the timing to arrive in the box. The position will determine a lot with how many goals he will score, because at the end of it, it's about how consistent he can be when he is arriving in those spaces. Well, everybody has said he's like, Lampard, Gerrard. He's got that ability in the final third. I prefer him as a defensive midfielder because I think his ability to break up play is much better. But if we play him or combine him with a player like, Partey, with a player like Jorginho, he looks much better. He looks much better going forward. He's got the dribble in him as well. He carries the ball very well. He's a leader. Again, you want your leader to be like Odegaard. Gets the goals, arrives in that penalty area, can be as clinical as he can. I think we have the right ingredients to make a super midfielder. The last super midfielder Arsenal had, I would say Patrick Vieira, because Cesc Fabregas lived for a short period of time, right? So Cesc Fabregas, maybe, if you want to argue with me on this one, I will give you that one. But the last super midfielder Arsenal had was Patrick Vieira. He had everything: a goal, leadership, breaking play, dribbles, physicality, energy, the mentality. He had absolutely everything. So Declan Rice could be on his way to become one of the Arsenal greats if he can become that super midfielder just like Patrick Vieira. Mikel on the importance of keeping the momentum early in the season. He says for every team, the competition for every team is like game on. You don't have to win the first game, the second one, the third one. There is still 34 games to go. So just focus on the game you're playing. Play with more maturity and the result will come. If you deserve it in the end, after 38 games, you will be able to deserve, and you will deserve what you get. And we can only focus on that because it is still very, very early in the campaign. I will agree with Mikel when he said that this campaign is going to be different. This is going to be the most important and most difficult campaign Arsenal ever play. Because I look at Manchester City and how they have started. They're a shambles, right? They don't have De Bruyne. They don't have Mahrez. They don't have Gundogan. They still win. They don't concede. Like, that is one thing the George don't do. They don't concede. How many have they conceded this campaign? One against Sheffield. Have they considered any other goals? Like, they just don't. They just don't concede. A clean sheet against Newcastle, a clean sheet against Fulham, and that's it, right? So the fact that City don't concede easily, and the fact that they can win with 1 goal, 2 goals, that actually shows you that this campaign, you have to be, spot on. You have to be on top of your game, regardless of what happens. But anyway, Mikel says that this campaign, there's so many other games to go, and we can actually go on and win it eventually. On Thomas Partey's injury, it says, I don't know, unfortunately, he got an injury in training and it doesn't look good. We need some more tests. We believe he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. We think it's a groin injury, but cannot confirm something in between. A groin injury in the thigh area, that is where Thomas Partey has always picked up his injuries. And it's a recurring problem. I think as he grows, it becomes worse. The tenacity, the physicality, and the pressure of the Spanish La Liga is very different from the Spanish from the Premier League. It's very, very different. I think in the Premier League, you're having to run all the time. You're having quick players around you. You just think about Brennan Johnson and his speed when we played Nottingham Forest. You just think about Morgan Gibbs-White and the way he treated Thomas Partey in that game. It is something that Arsenal have to adapt to, and Thomas Partey has to adapt to as well. On the level of the performance of the team heading into the international break, Mikel says we are very happy. We played 4 games. We deserve to win 4 games, by the way. It could have been very different, but the margins that were arriving in the last stages of the game doesn't reflect what the team has done before. Therefore, the things that are still in our control, that we can do better, and the team will try to progress and evolve in that direction to close games earlier and win them much, much easier. It's a point that I talked about in the 5 things we learned. Go watch that video. You've got to win games earlier. You've got to bury games, sooner. Personally, the Man United game, if Kai Havertz buries his chance, if Saka buries his chance, it's game over. Man United don't even have all this time to complain about offsides and everything. It's game over, right? We need to stop conceding a little bit earlier at the Emirates Stadium. We need to stop going down in games. Like last campaign, 20 minutes in, we were leading 2-0. This campaign, 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in, Arsenal are trailing. That is not a good thing to have in your campaign. It's not a good trend. Okay, Mikel Arteta on whether Fabio Vieira could start in the next match. He says every player has a chance to do that. Today, we decided to start with Kai. We knew that Fabio would come in and impact the game, especially in the last few minutes or final minutes if we needed something, and something has changed with Fabio. You notice with the crowd when he steps in, he's different. He's different from how he was last campaign and last year. He's mature. He's more senior in the squad, and his confidence in the squad is high as well. So I'm really to have those options, especially with a player like Fabio Vieira. I think with Vieira, I don't know whether Mikel is going to play him in the UCL more, or he's planning on using him as a dangerous substitution in this campaign, and then to give him his chance next campaign. He's a true example of a sophisticated system. He's talented, he's gifted, he's technical, he's quick, he can think. But when you come into a system like Arsenal's, and Declan Rice talked about this, it is always going to take you some time to adjust. It's always going to take you some time to find your place in the team. And eventually Fabio Vieira has found his place in the team. Look at his positioning in the last 2 games he's come on, and look at how and where he's assisting from. That is where he's got to be playing. That is his position, right? Does he deserve to start the next game? Absolutely. Like, it would be poor management if Fabio Vieira does not get to start and he's doing very well. Like I said yesterday, I loved Klopp. I loved it about Klopp because what Klopp did, he looked at Darwin Núñez. doing very well against all these other clubs, Newcastle. He awarded him with a start against Aston Villa, and he was absolutely brilliant, like really brilliant. So for me, in my opinion, Fabio Vieira has got to start. So the interesting quote about Kai Havertz, I actually hanged it on my status WhatsApp update. Mikel was asked about Kai and whether he's kind of struggling, and he said yes, he's struggling. And he said, I told Kai that when I met my wife, it wasn't easy. I had to communicate to her, I had to message her, and that was a hard part. And I think when he messaged, the wife actually initially rejected. So he had to go on and go on and go on. I think the lesson from that for Kai Havertz is his confidence is really low. And I saw that yesterday. I looked at him when he dropped the ball and we conceded. That was the end of his game. Like, that was the end of whatever he was trying to do. Apart from that penalty incident in the second half, he did nothing. So it comes from the fact that as a player, you miss a golden opportunity, then you give away a chance for them to score, and your confidence is shattered. But look at Ben White. Ben White was absolute rubbish yesterday. Like, really rubbish against Rashford. But again, you couldn't say that he played absolute rubbish. Like, when he was in possession, he was all right because his confidence is up. So what Kai has got to do, just focus on your game. Just focus on yourself. If I don't think the crowd is abusing him. I don't think the crowd is bowing him, right? That would be ridiculous. So because you have the support of the fans on the pitch, you've got to forget about the pundits. You've got to forget about the online fans that literally don't even go to games. They just sit on their TV and type, Kai Havertz is the worst player we've ever signed. You've got to forget that. And for me, as a player, 1 or 2 goals, you change the fan base, because the fan base is absolutely flexible. Like, we are hypocrites. That's the truth. You score 1 or 2 goals in one game. You score one goal against Chelsea. You score 1 goal against Liverpool, and the fan base will like, wait a minute, do we have a player here? So that is the press conference. Thomas Partey is out for a couple of weeks. More tests will be done according to Mikel Arteta. But the important thing, we have Declan Rice. I'll speak to you right in the next one.